The wing's all waxed up. I've got about 8 or 9 on there at the moment. I think it's probably about 8 coats of wax. So I'm just going to go around and fill my all the edges up with the modelling clay. I have got a slight damage on that corner. I'll fill that in with some modelling clay and you'll never know that's been damaged. So we'll go around and do that. All my tooling coats in, and I'm just about going to mix up the filler, or the corian mix to go in, and no glass or anything, so it is actually quite a simple mould making exercise. I'm not going to go into the mixes and everything, so I've already done that with a fuse. So we'll just get that filler filled in there now, and I'll show you in a little bit. Well, I've just finished pouring all the filler into the mould. I started this mould at around about 7 o'clock and it's 10:30 now. It's 14 degrees in the shed. Most of the time was actually waiting for the gel coat to go off. So yeah, just went inside and cooked tea and sat down and watched TV while the 2 layers of gel coat was going off. Didn't take much time at all to mix this up. Already had everything set out. Had all my resin set out in the bucket with the hardeners sitting in little plastic cups ready to go. So once that gel coat had gone off, it was very easy just to mix up and pour all the ingredients in, and here we have a half of a mould. I'm going to have to leave this for a good day and a half to go off before I can pour the other side. I've just pulled my parting plane off. I've still got my aluminium sitting on there. I'll take them off very shortly. It doesn't look very good at the moment. It's covered in dust. All the dust is from when I sanded the bog down on the parting plane. Yeah, so we'll strip all the aluminium off and give it another polish and see what we got. The wing is actually sitting pretty flat on my bench. The good thing with that corian mix is that it self-levels, so you know, the actual mould itself is dead flat, so which is really good. So we'll strip all this off and clean it up and see what we got. I've just pulled my bars off. The bits of bolster in between the double-sided tape and the wings worked really well. Everything's come off nicely. Still took a bit of effort to pull it off though, which is good because you know that it's going to stick to the wing and keep everything straight. So now we'll just clean and pull all this stuff off. Well, I moulded the other side. I know I didn't film it, but you've seen it all before. It's exactly the same as how I did the fuse. But I have had a little bit of a stick up, which I kind of expected that was going to happen. Just in a few places. That side on the back there came out pretty clean. But this side here has a little bit of stick up around the leading edge. I never know why this really happens, because sometimes they come out clean and sometimes they don't. But anyway, I've used a scratch-proof, I should say, gel coat. So I've just got a piece of Formica laminate, and it actually comes out quite easy. It makes you wonder why it's stuck in there in the first place. But I've just got to go through now and peel all this out. It's going to take a little while, not too bad a job though, and I'll have a set of wing moulds. I've also pulled the aluminium out of the side. That came out really easy. I drilled a little hole through the aluminium, put a screw in it. That's what that little hole is there. That's not going to hurt anything being there. Put a screw in there and then pulled a pair of pliers onto it and started to pull it up and then pulled it right out. That's come out clean. I have got a bit of a ridge on the back there. I should have put some modelling clay in there to fill that up, but I didn't, so got to get a nice fine file and carefully take that back down. Again, that's not a big issue, just a little bit time consuming. Just got to be careful about how you file that back down again. But on the whole, very happy. Yeah, looking forward to pulling a wing out of this mould. Well, I've got all the paint out of the mould now, cleaned it all up. It's looking really good. Really happy with how this has come out. All I've got to do now is wax it up, which I have been. That's what all that white stuff is back and sitting on the trailing edge there. That's just all the residue wax that's gone over the edge. I've had about 4 or 5 coats on there now. I'm a bit time poor at the moment, so it's going to be after this weekend I'll be able to lay a wing up in this. I've got a couple of wind burners to build, so I've got to do them first. But during the last stage of the jogger gasket, this is the last thing I've got to do to be able to start making parts out of these moulds. I've got the old plug back in there. It did come apart when I pulled it out, so I've glued it back together, and I've got tape on there, and I've got tape on the edges of the mould there. I'm just going to give that a light wax and pour some gel coat onto that edge. Now this is going to be my jogger gasket. I know it doesn't look much at the moment. It's a couple of pieces of MDF. I was told that 6mm jogger gasket would be enough, but looking at it, I've actually doubled the 2 layers of 6mm up, and now it's 12mm. But that is going to sit like this, and I'll put some gel coat down inside this gap here, and that's been roughly cut out to the same shape as the fuse, and I'll push that up to it so that the gel coat will ooze out the sides, and that will give me the shape of that fuse. So the jogger gasket will actually have a curve to the shape of the fuse, so when it comes together, when you put the 2 halves together in the mould, it's going to be a nice match on the other side of the fuse. I've now got the tooling coat in and pushed it up against the fuse. So once that goes off, I'll be able to take everything apart, give it a bit of a clean up, and I think I might give the MDF a good clean up and give that a coat of resin, so that's should last me quite some time. Yeah, but that's my jogger gasket done on this side. I've got to take the fuse out and put it onto the other mould and form the other side tomorrow. They're all done, all cleaned up. I've got a coat of resin on there, and they've been heavily PVA'd with PVA mould release. I'm not really worried about these little bits and pieces in here because it's the jogger gaskets on the inside, and it's going to go on there and to form that lip. You probably already noticed I've already laid up inside this fuse, and yeah, so all I got to do is set the jogger gasket up, let that dry, and then tomorrow I'll be joining this together. I've got the jogger gasket on this side set up. You can see the white of the inside of the mould, which is the white backing on the paint, and with the fiberglass on there. That's all lined up. I've set the jogger gasket just with a little lip on there from the actual glass in the mould. I've never done one of these before, but I did that just so there's a little bit of a gap in there for glue to go into, instead of having it trying to get it nice and tight. That jogger runs all the way back down to the tail. I've tapered it off down there. You don't need that much of a gasket down that end, but I've ended up with a 12mm jogger gasket. It's going to be quite easy laying that jogger gasket up in there, setting up on the edge like that. Yeah, I haven't done it in the first layup. I was told it was a lot easier to do it afterwards, which I think it probably is going to be. When you're laying all this glass up, you don't have to try and explosion there to get that glass to come up over top. It's easier to trim it all off to the mould first. As you can see that there, I trimmed it all off to the mould, and then put that just proud of that glass so that to form the new jogger gasket. Yeah. Well, it's the jogger gasket all laid up on both sides. I got one overlapping on one side of the fuse, and the opposite side on the other one. So tomorrow I will be joining these 2 fuses together.